This happened to a man in Phoenix, Arizona, in March 2019. He worked late most nights. His routine was always the same: pull into the driveway around 11 p.m., park on the street because his garage was full of storage boxes, unlock the front door, check his phone, go to bed. One Tuesday night, he came home as usual. Parked the car, walked to the front door, unlocked it, went inside. Everything seemed normal. He made a sandwich, answered some emails, and went upstairs to bed around midnight. At 2:47 a.m., he woke up to a sound. His garage door was opening. He sat up, confused. He hadn't touched the remote. It was sitting on his nightstand. The grinding noise continued. The door was fully open now. He grabbed his phone and pulled up the security camera app. He had a camera pointed at the driveway. Two men were standing in his garage. They weren't trying to hide. They were calmly going through boxes, opening his car doors, checking the glove compartment. He watched, frozen. One of them walked to the door that connected the garage to the house, tried the handle. It was locked. The man pulled something from his pocket. A tool. He started working on the lock. That's when he called 911. The dispatcher told him to stay in his bedroom, lock the door, and wait. He could hear them now. Footsteps on the stairs. They were inside. He pushed his dresser against the bedroom door and sat on the floor with his phone, listening. The footsteps stopped outside his door. The handle turned. Locked. Then he heard voices, muffled, arguing. Suddenly they ran. Down the stairs. Out the front door. Sirens were approaching. Police arrived 3 minutes later. The men were gone. The officers found the garage door opener in the bushes near his driveway. It had been there for weeks, they said. Probably dropped by the previous owner or a repair person. The men had been watching the house. They knew his schedule. They knew he parked on the street. They'd found the opener, tested it, and waited for the right night. If that door hadn't been locked, they would have walked right into his bedroom. He moved out 2 months later. This happened to a woman in Portland, Oregon in August 2021. She lived alone in a ground floor apartment, small building, quiet neighborhood. She'd been there for 2 years and never had any problems. One Thursday night, she was cooking dinner around 8 p.m. She heard a knock at the door. She looked through the peephole. A man in a hoodie, mid-30s. She didn't recognize him. "Can I help you?" she called through the door. "Yeah, I'm here to pick up some stuff," the man said. "I think you have the wrong apartment." "No, this is it. Unit 4, right?" "Yes, but I don't know you. You need to leave." The man didn't move. "Open the door," he said, his tone flat now. "I'm calling the police," she said. "No, you're not." She stepped back from the door, grabbed her phone, and dialed 911. The man started kicking the door. She ran to the bedroom, locked herself inside, and stayed on the line with the dispatcher. The kicking stopped. She waited. 5 minutes later, police arrived. The man was gone. The officers checked the hallway, the stairwell, the parking lot. Nothing. They told her to call if he came back. He came back 3 hours later. This time, she didn't answer. She just called 911 again and watched through the peephole. The man wasn't kicking this time. He was trying other doors. He went to Unit 6, knocked, no answer. Tried the handle, locked. Then Unit 8. Same thing. He was testing every apartment. Police arrived faster this time. They caught him in the stairwell. He had a backpack. Inside, zip ties, duct tape, a knife, and a handwritten list of apartment numbers. Her unit was circled. The man had been released from prison 2 weeks earlier. He'd lived in that building 5 years ago, in a different unit. He thought he still knew people there. He didn't. He'd been looking for someone, anyone. It didn't matter who. She moved out the next day. This happened to me and my girlfriend in October 2023. We'd booked an Airbnb in Asheville, North Carolina for a long weekend. The listing looked perfect: secluded cabin in the mountains, great reviews, reasonable price. We arrived Friday evening around 6 p.m. The host had left the key in a lockbox by the front door, along with a welcome note and instructions. The cabin was beautiful. 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, huge windows overlooking the forest, exactly like the photos. We unpacked, made dinner, and settled in for the night. Around 11 p.m., we went to bed. At 2:30 a.m., I woke up to a sound. Someone was in the kitchen. I sat up, listening. Footsteps, cabinets opening and closing, the fridge door. My girlfriend was asleep next to me. I shook her awake, put my finger to my lips. "Someone's here," I whispered. We both listened. The footsteps moved from the kitchen to the living room, then stopped. I grabbed my phone, opened the Airbnb app, and messaged the host. "Someone is in the cabin. We're in the bedroom. What do we do?" No response. I called 911. The dispatcher said officers were on the way, but we were 20 minutes outside town. It would take time. Stay in the room. Lock the door. Don't engage. I locked the bedroom door as quietly as I could. The footsteps started again, coming down the hallway. Slow, deliberate. They stopped outside our door. We didn't breathe. Then a voice. Male. Calm. I know you're in there. My girlfriend grabbed my arm, terrified. This is my house, the voice said. You need to leave. I didn't respond. I'm calling the police, the voice continued. You're trespassing. That's when I realized he thought we were the intruders. We rented this place on Airbnb, I said through the door. We have a reservation. Check the app. Silence. Then, what are you talking about? Airbnb. We booked this cabin for the weekend. We have confirmation. More silence. This is my property, the voice said, but now he sounded uncertain. I didn't list anything on Airbnb. My stomach dropped. Are you the owner? I asked. Yes. I've owned this cabin for 6 years. I don't rent it out. Oh my God. The listing was fake. Someone had copied photos of this cabin, created a fake Airbnb listing, and rented it out to us. They'd installed their own lockbox, taken our money, and sent us to someone else's property. The real owner, his name was David, sounded just as confused and scared as we were. Can you show me the listing? He asked through the door. I opened my phone, took a screenshot of the Airbnb confirmation, and slid it under the door. Long pause. These are photos of my cabin, David said, his voice shaking now. But I never posted these. I don't even have an Airbnb account. We paid $800 for 3 nights, my girlfriend said, her voice breaking. We thought this was legitimate. How did you get in? David asked. Lockbox by the front door. It had a code in the welcome message. Another pause. I don't have a lockbox, David said. That's when we heard sirens in the distance. The police are coming, I said. We called them before we knew what was happening. I called them too, David admitted. 2 sheriff's deputies arrived about 5 minutes later. We finally opened the bedroom door. David was in his 50s, wearing pajamas and a robe, holding his phone. He looked exhausted and terrified. The deputies took statements from all of us. They examined the lockbox. It was a cheap combination lock, the kind you can buy at any hardware store, attached with industrial adhesive. Someone had installed it recently. David showed them his property deed and ID. We showed them our Airbnb confirmation, payment receipt, and all the messages from the fake host. The listing had 12 5-star reviews, a profile photo of a smiling woman named Jennifer, a detailed description of the cabin, house rules, check-in instructions. Everything looked real. But it was all fake. The deputies explained that this was part of a nationwide scam. Criminals find remote properties, take photos from real estate listings or Google Maps, create fake Airbnb accounts, and rent them out to unsuspecting guests. They install temporary lockboxes, collect the money, and disappear. By the time the guest arrives and realizes something's wrong, the scammer has already moved on to the next victim. David had been out of town for 2 weeks visiting family. He'd come home that night, saw lights on in his cabin, and assumed someone had broken in. I'm so sorry, he kept saying to us. I can't believe someone did this. It's not your fault, my girlfriend said. We gathered our things and left around 4 a.m. The deputies helped us find a hotel in town. The next morning, I contacted Airbnb support. After 3 hours on hold and multiple transfers, they finally refunded our payment and removed the listing. But the damage was done. We later found out that at least 6 other people had been scammed by the same fake listing in the previous 2 months. The scammer had made thousands of dollars before getting caught. David had to install security cameras and change all his locks. He still checks rental sites every few months to make sure no one is using his property again. We never went back to Asheville, and we never used Airbnb again. 3 stories, 3 different situations. One common thread: the places we think are safe aren't always what they seem. Lock your doors, trust your instincts, and if something feels wrong, it probably is. The eye sees all. Subscribe to Navora for more true horror every week. Turn on notifications so you never miss when darkness returns. And if you've lived through something unexplainable, something that still haunts you, send your story. The eye is listening. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.